finally here. We're finally doing this. I'm excited. But this first episode of Forever Chubby, I want it to be about how the business started that we both run every day, how it is working together. So I have some questions for you. I know you have questions for me, but if you want to start off.
I do. I just want to know what Forever Chubby means. What does that mean to you?
Well, Forever Chubby, it takes me back to how I've always struggled with my weight. And that's why I'm in this business. You know, I've battled addiction my whole life. I have an addictive personality. It runs in our family. But Forever Chubby is just something.
Addiction to food?
Addiction to food, addiction to anything. Food has always been an addiction. Addiction to you. Addiction has always been something I've battled, and I can remember being a little boy and running to the lunchrooms because I was so excited to eat. It's kind of funny. But
I never wanted that lunch food.
But so when I was younger, I was always skinny, and I remember calling my sister fat all the time, and my mom always telling me, like, you're gonna get fat. And I was skinny. I'd be like,
Sorry,
yeah,
Felicia.
whatever. And then I ended up starting to get chubby. But I just remember always being addicted to food. Food always made me feel comfortable.
What do you think that stems from?
I think genetics has a lot to do.
No, like your addiction to food.
I mean, could be the way it makes me feel, you know?
So it's like
It's a
high,
drug.
like, you know, a drug addict. So that's what food is for
Yeah.
you.
If you notice, if you go inside a gym, you'll see a lot of addicts. That
Sure.
doesn't mean everybody that's in a gym is an addict.
No, but
you'll
it's like
see-
it's a healthy addict though. Like it's putting it towards themselves and not being on a stimulant that only lasts for a little while. Like you can control that. You can control the workouts. You can control the food. You can control a lot of things. So it's also like a controlling aspect too.
Yeah. Go into a gym, you'll see a ton of recovering addicts.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, hopefully, they choose weights and fitness as their addiction. But you'll see a lot of people
But a
that
lot of
struggle.
times though, it stems from something that you're lacking or maybe, you know, some sort of trauma in your life.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
do you feel like that is you?
Yeah. No, I mean, that's how I ended up in the gym. I became addicted to fitness, addicted to working out. I remember in high school, I didn't miss a single day of workouts with the football team, and I was chubby.
What do you think sort of trauma happened in your life to make
It could
you...
be, I mean, it's hard to really say because there's been so much time, but it could be just a lot of trying to keep myself busy as a kid. But I remember just anything I do, I try to do it to the fullest.
Sure.
I remember being in elementary and I got, you know, I was perfect attendance all the time, just always just consistent. Mm-hmm. When I got to the gym, I got addicted to the gym. And I remember, like I was saying back in football freshman year, I never missed a workout ever.
Yeah.
Even if I was sick, I went. And it's kind of carried over into work. I never miss work.
No, you
And
never
it's
miss
just
work.
something
But he's late to everything.
Yeah.
Else.
And just consistent. But it has consistency is what.
Trying to get you out of the house is something. But work, never.
Yeah, it's just what I do.
Yeah.
But leading back to how I got into creating this same Forever Chubby kind of is how I started the whole fitness journey. I've always battled my food addiction, and I knew when I was older or when I was younger from now, when I was in my early 20s, I knew I was either going to be a bartender or a personal trainer because I loved working with people, and I loved...
Which is weird because you're a little introverted.
Yeah, but one-on-one, I'm good.
Yeah.
In a social setting, I have social anxiety, but when I was younger, I noticed how much I loved working with people, making people happy.
Yeah.
And so when you're in a bar setting and you're trying to make people happy with drinks, it's great, right?
Yeah.
It's just not the healthiest.
Not healthy.
Yeah. But in a gym setting, seeing people change their lives is everything.
I know.
So I'm glad I chose that.
I'm glad
that
you
route.
chose that too,
But
because we wouldn't be together.
yeah, probably not. We shouldn't be.
Just like you always say, a healthy person cannot be with an unhealthy person.
That's not what I say. That's what therapists say.
Well, you have said that to me.
And I've remembered it.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true. If you think you're healthy and you think your partner's unhealthy, the chances are you're unhealthy too until you leave.
Right.
Or until both of you guys get healthy.
Yeah.
So, and it's an eye opener. But getting back to the Forever Chubby, I don't even remember when I said it. I just
That was the biggest selling T-shirt. I know that.
yeah, back in 2018.
People still ask to bring that back.
Yeah, they sold like hotcakes.
We should do T-shirts of these.
Yeah.
For sure.
But I do want to make T-shirts again. But
Shout out to Allie for making that logo.
Oh yeah,
Baby mama.
It symbolizes what many people struggle with, and myself, and making it funny. Bringing light to it.
Yeah.
Being facetious a little bit about it. But it's something that I like to make fun of, but it's a serious thing.
It is. It is. It's people's longevity in life. If you're a mom or you're a dad or a grandma or a grandpa, like whatever you are, you want to make sure that you're there and you're healthy for the people that you love in your life.
Yeah. So what got you into fitness?
Well, I would say that I was born and raised in a healthy fitness family. My dad always was doing some sort of bike race, or my mom, they played softball. So it's all I ever knew was working out, being healthy. My mom always instilled healthy eating habits with us. I can remember getting my first protein bar at, I think, like 8 years old, before a softball game. So she really helped instill working hard and taking care of your body. So I loved playing sports growing up. I loved watching my sister play softball. I loved watching my parents compete in bike races. I loved basketball. Everything about movement and feeling my body just really made me feel good. So that's where it all started, my parents.
So now you're here.
Now I'm here.
Is training something you always wanted to do or thought you might do?
100%. I always would go to the gym with my girlfriends, and I would be leading the workouts. I would always be the motivator, and just watching people succeed and feel good afterwards, just like I did, just was so fulfilling to me. So, yeah, I'm very, very thankful that I actually have the opportunity now to shed light professionally doing that instead of just for fun or just for friends.
Didn't you work out with a trainer?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I started out with a trainer. Gosh, I think it was I don't remember what gym that was in Fort Worth, but when I moved to Fort Worth, I hired just a corporate gym trainer, and he was hardcore. I mean, he would tell me I needed to eat 6 hard-boiled eggs in the morning, and my stomach would hurt so bad. Ridiculous. Yes, and it was for real bodybuilder style of training. I did CrossFit. I worked out through my entire pregnancy. It just really, that was the only thing in my life I could control always, was what I put in my mouth, what I fueled my body with, and my workouts. I could control my physique. Everything else is in God's hands. Like, you cannot control your future. You can't control what's going to happen in your life. You can learn from it, but this I can control. And I guess I'm a little bit of a control freak because that is the one thing that satisfies me, is being able to do that.
Working out.
Mm-hmm.
So what was it wasn't there something that propelled you into working out where you're in the best shape of your life? When was that?
I think that's when I was married to Gage's dad, and things were out of my control. So working out was the one thing that I could do that made me feel good. Maybe I may have become a little obsessive over it, but it made me feel better. So knowing, all of the heartache and turmoil that I was going through at the time that was the one thing that made me feel good. And maybe it was a little unhealthy because I carried a lunchbox everywhere and I would only eat clean. I wouldn't eat anybody else's food. But I can say that I was in the best shape of my life, but I was also sad. But that's the one thing that kept me going. That and going to church. Working out and going to church is what made me feel better.
Yeah. It's healthy. And as much as you think that that's unhealthy, that was the bridge.
It was the
That got
bridge.
you through challenging
Sometimes I
times.
kind of wish I could go back to that, Lauren. But I'm so happy now that I can enjoy life and still have fitness being a big part of it. And then helping others realize that you can still have fun and live your life and you don't have to be so robotic about it and still eat the pizza sometimes, but regroup the next day, you
Balance
know?
it out.
Yeah. So I would say that I'm a lot happier now with my fitness routine and you, of course. But I don't aspire to carry a lunchbox everywhere ever again.
A little balance.
A little balance, yes.
Balance in life.
Yes, yeah. But I do miss those abs.
Yeah. That's great.
That was ripped.
And now you have a ton of clients, right?
Yes, yeah. I mean, I try to keep it minimal. I don't want a lot of clients, obviously, because I focus on the business aspect and networking. But I try to be the best trainer that I can as far as motivating and keeping people accountable and being their biggest cheerleader.
Yep.
That's
That's what we are.
really what it is. And I will say that even when I worked in the veterinary field, like, yes, that was a hard job, but this is on a whole nother level. Like, you are somebody's lifeline in a lot of ways because they come to you looking for a life change. And when you fail, it's really hard.
Yeah.
It's really hard, but you can't take it like it's your fault. Like, it's initially the client's fault for not doing all the things in some aspects, but you feel like a failure because you couldn't get them to do those things.
Yeah.
So I would say that's the only downfall about this profession. But other than that, like, it's sometimes I'm driving to work and I'm like, somebody pinch me. Like, I can't believe that I get to do something that I'm so passionate about, that I love, and it's a dream. I've always wanted to do this. I just never thought that it was possible.
Yeah. And I feel the same way. Is I'm very passionate, and if your client's not getting results, you feel guilty.
It's the worst.
And but
Like,
I've
what did I
learned-
do? Were my workouts not good enough? Like, did I not do what they wanted? It's extremely frustrating.
Yeah, I've learned, running this business, I've learned to manage that well.
Yeah, you do. And you
not
helped
al-
me a lot with that.
It's not always your fault, but what I have learned and what I try to tell our trainers is you can always do better. Even if it's 100%
yeah.
the client's fault, even the clients aren't always going to be 100% motivated.
And every client has a different personality.
Yeah.
Like, maybe I'm too much, or maybe I'm not enough. Like, it's such a mind game.
If you go into it thinking, okay, even if I lose a client, what could I have done better? Could I have been more engaged with them during
Sure.
sessions? If you don't think
Could I have created better workouts?
better workouts,
Did I talk too much during the
communicated?
workout? Like, there's so many different aspects of what did I do wrong
Yeah.
for them not to obtain those results or enjoy their time with me.
Yeah. And, I'll hear trainers that, don't work for us. They work on their own. I always remember one of them, just
They blame it
venting
on
to
the client.
venting to me, telling me, oh my gosh, my trainer they won't eat right. They won't. And I'm just like, you're stressing too hard. You need to figure out
Yeah.
different ways. Of course, trainers are going to struggle eating nutrition right. Not everybody can be perfect. Like
Right.
That's why not everybody's a trainer, because people struggle with either the accountability of getting to the gym and finding new ways to work out, research. Nutrition's a big part of it. You have to understand that you just always have to keep trying different ways to keep your client motivated.
And it's such a rewarding job. It really is. Even if they fail, with you as a trainer and they go succeed with somebody else, like you still created a relationship and a bond with that person. And even if they didn't succeed with you, they were motivated to go to somebody else that worked better for them. And then they did succeed. So it's never really truly a loss. It's just, what can I do better going forward for people? So it's a learning
What kind of
lesson.
experience did you give them, even if it's for a month?
Yeah. I mean, I've had bad training.
And
really
some
bad
clients,
training.
some clients are bad clients.
Yeah.
And, you know, some
For
clients, but you still try to give them the best experience.
100%. And me being a perfectionist, like that is the hardest part about this job is why do they not have the best experience, you know? And that's something that I have to sleep with every night. But I work through it, you know, every day.
Yeah.
Every day.
But that's part of business, owning
It is.
ownership. It's, you always try to figure out what we could do better in certain areas.
Yep.
And
Definition of insanity.
And at the end of the day, you end up growing just a little bit.
100%.
If you look at it that way.
Yeah.
And don't worry about too much of the failures.
Yeah.
Just learn from them. Easier said than done.
Yes. Yes. So, how did the business get started?
So, as I got into fitness and, you know, really got addicted to fitness and battled my weight, I took a liking. I remember I lost a lot of weight, and this is when I was about 20 years old, and I had just lost my own weight. Like, I ran every day. I ate healthy, what I thought was healthy, and I got addicted to running. So I started running all the time, and I went from about 210 pounds, which
How old?
I was 19. 210 pounds, and I'm
Wait,
not very
and you're
tall.
5'7".
5'7". I did not.
I'm 5'5".
Not
People,
talking
he's
muscle.
only 2 inches taller than me.
So I was at 210, and I worked at the Denton Country Club, and I was eating Jack in the Box every night. I was drinking, underage, but I ended up
bad
packing
boy.
on so much weight so quick. I have stretch marks around my stomach just because I gained weight so fast. And one day it was like, I remember it was a Tuesday or a Wednesday. I just woke up and I was tired of it, and I started running, and I stopped. I changed my lifestyle. I changed my friends. It was weird now that I look back at it. But I went from 210 pounds down to 100.
But you are the sum of the people that you hang around with. So
Yep.
you knew to change your
Well, I didn't
friends.
know at the time. It just happened.
But you did that because subconsciously you knew that.
There you go. So I went from 210 down to 135 in 3 months. And I remember I finally went
But
to...
at 19 is pretty doable.
I was skinny. I was tiny. And I
Did
was
you
tiny.
have extra skin?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
And I was so tiny so quick that I remember I finally went back to a party, started drinking a little bit more. I went back to a party, and I remember this girl seeing me, and I was proud of myself for losing all that weight. And then I remember a girl seeing me and saying, "Are you sick? Did you get sick? Do you have cancer?"
Oh my gosh.
She didn't say cancer, but that's what that sometimes means when
Wow.
you lose so much weight. So I had lost weight so quick, so fast.
Which shows you what the importance of weight training is.
Yes,
You can't just run.
I started asking trainers at a local gym. It was Brickhouse Gym, which it used to be over there by UNT. And
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
I remember
So he
at-
moved over to Unicorn Lake after that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I went and I asked personal trainers tips about losing weight, and I started learning a little bit more, and that's when I wanted to become a trainer. So I went and I worked at an electrical supply company, and that was a tough job. That was a tough job for a little bit of
You
money.
were not a handyman, that's for
No.
sure.
No, I was driving
We do have a handy guy. He'll be on next week.
Yeah. And it was an experience. But, you know, those jobs, you work hard for a little bit of money, and it builds discipline and toughness under your skin. And I got laid off for that job. The economy in 2008, the housing business.
Oh, yeah. That was bad.
Yeah.
I remember.
And I got laid off on unemployment, and I got my training certification then. And then
Where'd you get that from?
ironically, I got it through LA Fitness, and I never worked for LA
Oh,
Fitness.
wow. So they do their own certification
No,
over there?
they had a connection to, it's National Council on Strength and
Yeah.
Fitness, NCSF.
Which is something that you can do online.
Yeah.
And that's a better one.
Yeah, it took me 6
Yeah,
months.
exactly.
And I got certified while I was unemployed.
Not quite with NASA, but right there with it. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's up there.
Yeah.
It's not as thorough as NASA.
Right.
NASM's top of the line.
Yeah.
And this got my feet wet. And then I bugged a local gym here in Denton. It was called Fitness Evolution. And I remember walking in there and, giving them my resume and talking to the boss's girlfriend at the time. She was the manager there. And I remember asking her almost 2 or 3 times a week. When it comes to work, if you want it, you let people know.
100%.
That's why if somebody does not
I
want to
know.
work and they're lazy, I don't like that.
I know what that's like.
I remember her laughing at me after she hired me because she was like, man, you would not leave me alone. And
You're still like that. You would not leave me alone.
yeah, I'm just persistent
Yes.
and something I want.
But that's why you have what you have.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, and sometimes it could be annoying, but sometimes it could be a good thing. And
I don't think it's annoying. I think it's strong.
I finally got hired as a trainer there as a 1099, and immediately when I got hired, I made my own T-shirts for me and any clients that came on board.
And that was the first logo that you drew?
No.
Oh,
We're
this
not
is
even
different.
there
Oh,
yet.
okay.
But I worked for this gym, so I worked under them.
Mm-hmm.
And I made my own T-shirts because we still had to get our own clients.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Made my T-shirts. I had a stopwatch around I had a
So
clipboard in
nerdy.
hand.
You're still a nerd.
And in the training business, it's usually competitive. And the way we came in is there was probably about 4 or 5 trainers there, and you had to get your own clients. And every new member, you would try to get to do a consultation with you. And that was your chance to sell.
So how'd you do?
So I started getting clients. And there was a trainer there. I always remember. He was older. He had a lot of clients. He was a good salesman.
Have I met him?
But no, you haven't. But he was not a good trainer. He was not a good person. I'm not going to say names. But
He probably is going to listen to this.
no.
He's coming for you.
No, but I learned a lot of what not to do. He would follow people out to their cars.
Yeah, that is not okay.
If they said they left their wallet.
You know what I would do if he did that to me? I'd punch him right in his crotch.
Yeah,
100%.
yeah.
That is not
Well,
okay.
I just remember that. And I remember trying to get people that I knew in there to do a consultation. I was really determined to make
Sure.
this work. And I would get a couple of clients on a consultation. And I remember the client would call me. One client called me and was like, hey, I can't do a consultation with you because I trained with that other trainer. He's mad that I'm meeting with you.
Oh, wow.
So I came into the environment, it was really, really a bad energy.
Yeah.
Competitive, which, hey, sink or swim in that.
So what happened
And
after that?
I got pissed, and I called him. He didn't answer, and I ended up training her anyways, I think. But that's what I went into, and I learned everything the hard way. I remember doing my first consult.
But gyms still do that. They will
do that.
stop people and force them to sign up for crappy
it's a sales
training.
business. It's a sales business, and
I call it crappy training because it really is bad training.
the bosses.
I've done it.
The managers of your chain gyms have managers. They have bosses, and they're watching numbers daily. So I get it.
I mean, it's just a machine. I mean, everybody's trying to make money, but it's just not the way you do it.
Yeah.
It's really not. And the people that sign up to it, I mean, it's kind of sad.
Yeah. The first consultation I did, I spent like almost 2 hours with this couple. And I had this
2
nutrition-
hours?
2 hours because I didn't know. I didn't know. I was nervous. I was just talking when you're
Talking too much, like I
Talking
tell
too
you.
much?
Yep.
and they didn't buy. They never bought. So I spent
No.
2 hours. We didn't
Because
get,
you've learned what? You let them talk.
we didn't get paid to go up there. So we only got paid when we did sessions. So we
Right.
sink or swim.
Yeah.
And I went in there and I learned the hard way. I did a 2-hour consultation for nothing. But it wasn't for nothing, because I always remember, you learn and you adapt. And I learned how to cut to the chase and get to asking about them and really figure out what sells. Because we have to sell packages to people worth thousands of dollars for something they can't see. When you're a car salesman, you can go showcase the inside of the car.
Yeah, and then you drive off the lot, and how much does that devalue? With this, nothing is devaluing. Everything is only going up from here.
The greatest sales.
The best gift that you can give yourself is the gift of your health and your fitness.
It is the greatest sales business in the world, because health and fitness helps you live longer. It helps promote
for your kids, for your family, for yourself. Yeah. The moment that you stop moving is the moment that you start disintegrating.
Yeah.
Like everything starts going downhill.
I learned quick how to sell personal training and to be competitive, but, not be malicious.
Yeah.
And, I ended up becoming a manager way too early. The boss that owned that gym, he never wanted to be in Denton. So he basically wanted somebody desperately to run the show.
Sure.
And I was just right guy, right place, because LA Fitness just opened and took all their members.
And you were very ambitious.
I was ambitious, and so
did you get taken advantage of?
My boss was like, "Hey, I remember him telling you it's your show."
Yeah.
And I had no idea what the hell I was doing.
Yeah.
I didn't know EFT. I didn't know reports. I didn't know any cold calling, nothing. And
which I do not agree with cold calling these days. That is not okay.
In a gym like that, you have to. So I was sinking fast, and he ended up replacing me with somebody else. And I was all pissed off about it. And I was like taking jabs at the new guy coming in. But I was young. I think I was like 23. And but I stayed long enough till that guy failed, and I came in and
Was this like the gym, tan, and laundry kind of guy that you were? Jersey Shore.
Oh, man, there's a few of those. But he failed, and I stayed there, and then my old boss, I can't remember how it happened, but promoted me back to a general manager, and I worked with my buddy. One of my other buddies, I got a job in there, and we became co-managers. And that was a great time. It was fun. We had a lot of fun. We were a good balance. I was kind of the bad cop. He was the good cop to everybody, made friends with everyone. And I was more of like the little guy bouncing around. But it was a good balance.
So what happened with that job?
My buddy ended up leaving, and I stayed there as the only general manager. And then I helped my old boss. I knew he didn't want that gym. He did, but he didn't. He wanted to be. He lives in Dallas. He has a gym in Dallas, and so I heard through the grapevine of some people wanting to buy a gym, and I heard of this family wanting to buy a gym. So I started emailing. I emailed him. I emailed the boss, and I organized a sell. After months and months, I organized a sell, and there was rough times where it didn't look like it was going to happen. Then it happened at the last minute. But I learned a lot through it, because I didn't know what the hell I was doing.
Did it sell?
It sold, and it sold for a lot more than it should have.
And then what happened with the gym after that? Did you stay?
No, the gym. Yeah, I stayed, and I was supposed to get a small percentage.
And you didn't.
And I didn't.
And then what happened after that?
The gym closed down.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then you reached out to...
Well, if I go back a little bit, if I slow down a little bit, when I finally got the gym sold, we had worked out a deal where I was going to own a percentage of it, small percent, and I had to work towards it. And it was a good deal, and it never ended up happening. The people it sold to, they did not have a history in the gym business. And so I think they took on more than they should have.
Sure.
But I was there, and I didn't know as much as I know now. So
yeah.
I didn't know a ton, but I knew enough.
And then what happened after that?
They ended up, I remember at one point, they hired, ironically, they hired a personal training company to come in and help them out.
And so is that where the idea of a
No.
personal training company
It just
came in?
happened. It just happened. They had a personal training company come in. That personal training company,
What was the name? Do you remember?
I Googled it. I don't know. I'll tell
Are
you
they
off.
still going?
No, I don't think so. I wouldn't think so.
And this was in Denton.
This was in Denton. They came in and took over the training department,
Mm-hmm.
and they're very similar to how we operate, or how we did operate. And it's
So is that where the idea came
No.
from? Nothing.
no. I started doing it, and I realized this company comes in, and the owners at the time weren't making money. Okay, for whatever reason, they weren't making money. Whether they're spending too much, not making enough. The owners, these two kids came in and sold them this personal training coming in, personal training company coming in, taking over, making them money, splitting profits. Immediately, two guys came in. One guy, oh my gosh, this guy. There's not a lot of people I don't like in this world, and this is probably one guy I would dislike. I look at
This
people.
guy isn't listening.
I don't care. I look at the good in people. But this guy,
We love everybody. What are you talking about?
this guy would harass members, and I would
Women
beg
or everybody?
women. Yeah,
Yeah, he's looking at
he would just harass. I'm just
Not
and
me.
I kept telling the owners, I'm like, listen, man.
That's what always kept me from really working out at corporate gyms.
Yeah.
Is because of that kind of behavior. I've had it happen to me multiple times, even just doing, Romanian deadlifts and somebody comes behind you on purpose. Like that kind of stuff is ick.
Yeah, but
that
you
gives
have
me
to
the
have-
ick.
You have to have good management.
And that's
around
why I
you.
love our gym. It's because that doesn't go down there. Go ahead.
Yeah. So this guy came in. He was the manager of this personal training company, and he did not like me. And so it was just these little jabs all the time. And that's fine. Whatever. That's fine. I just
Why do you think
my
he
job.
didn't like you?
I don't know.
Because you're a little rule follower?
Because I was supposed to be the manager.
No, I know.
And he thought he could run it better. That's probably why. That's why a lot of people get jealous or don't like somebody. is
sure.
They think they can do your job better.
Yeah.
And maybe he could have if he just didn't act the way he did.
Sure.
And so he came in, and I tried to make friends with them, and it just wasn't. And I'm not in charge, but that's all I know. So I just put my head down, went to work.
Yeah.
I started selling a lot. And behind the scenes, I started hearing some of the members and the employees tell me, hey, they're trying to get all the old people out and start fresh. And I'm like, I'm not going to listen to them. I'm just going to keep working. And slowly but surely, there was a girl there, too, that worked under me. She was the front desk staff. I had hired her as a front desk staff. And there was a couple of times she was late on a Saturday. We were not
Like
open.
how late?
She was like 30, 45 minutes late, and she was supposed to open the gym. So there's a line of members calling me because I'm the
Oh,
manager.
that's bad.
Hey, your front desk person didn't open. We're standing out here. I had to run up there, open the gym.
But that should be the owner's problem.
So, no, but when you're the manager, it's the manager's problem first. And so what happens when your front desk person does not open the gym on time? What do you do?
You have to go open the gym.
You have to go open the gym, and then what do you do to them?
You fire them.
Not yet. I wrote her up.
Oh, I think I remember you telling me this.
Yeah, I wrote this girl up because that's what you do,
And
right?
then she was talking bad about you.
Yep.
Yeah.
So the minute I wrote
Have
her.
I met her?
But no, you haven't. So when you write somebody up, there's a reason behind it.
Yeah, 100%.
If you don't open the gym, you're going to get written up. If you don't get written up, you don't have a good manager,
Right.
okay? Because there's no consequence, and that's a big deal.
Right.
And so I wrote her up, and then immediately she hated me, which is fine. It's fine.
She was probably young.
business.
You guys were young. That's so ridiculous. Though.
But listen, this is the first and only time that I can think of that I actually had somebody try to sabotage my job.
Oh, I remember you telling me this.
This I
She was like saying stuff that wasn't true
saying
about you.
stuff that wasn't true, writing stuff into the member suggestion box.
Yeah, that's
saying that I was doing bad
She
things.
has some mental health issues, is what that is.
Yeah.
I wonder where she's at today.
I don't
Probably
know.
not far.
Like, she was literally trying to get me fired.
God. I've never had anything like that happen to me, but I think that I would be so fired up. I don't even know how I would handle
I
that.
just remember being flabbergasted. I'm like, this girl was late 2 times and I wrote her up, and now you're trying to talk. So then I had to have a conversation because of what she was saying, and other people, like her buddies, were saying.
And a lot of the times, too, unfortunately, the woman is looked at to believe over the man.
Yeah.
I think it's getting a little better these days, but like 9 times out of 10, that's how it is. Unless the
sometimes.
female has a history of being crazy, which obviously she is.
And let me tell you, at the time, she was buddy-buddy. She's getting buddy-buddy with the owners.
Yeah.
They were going to Hooters all the time. So she would buddy-buddy with them. They went to Hooters all the time. They were hanging out. I
Gross.
wasn't a part of the clique. Whatever. I don't care. I'm there to do a job, okay? And I see it happening, and I hear these things, and I'm just like, well, I'm going to do everything perfect and whatever. And so then I start hearing that they're trying to find reasons to fire me.
Bye. I would have left.
And so I was like, I started looking for other work, but it's my job. I'm not going to get fired. So I was perfect. They're looking to see if I was clocking in late, if I was working out on the clock. I heard all this stuff, man. Determined to not get fired and to prove them wrong. I think I sold like 50 memberships in a month. And I was like, I've never done that. And then finally, they sat me down and said that they were demoting me because they couldn't afford to pay me. So they were looking for reasons to let me go, and they couldn't. And you know what? Maybe they needed that financially. They needed my salary gone.
Yeah.
But I knew that I was the only one in there left that knew anything about the gym. You got this personal training company that's sexually harassing people. So I'm like, you got the girl that was late that's trying to get promoted. And anyways, so I ended up getting a job at AT&T, and I left. And I, a long story. Well, it's still a long story.
You did great at AT&T.
Yeah, I did great at AT&T, but I hated selling what I was selling.
I know.
I had management opportunities, and I just, oh my God.
I would not want to work there. I mean, even just going in there to get my phone, I'm just like, oh my gosh, get me in and out. I feel sorry for the employees.
Yeah. But I went to AT&T, and it was an experience. I had a lot of opportunities.
Yeah, you're thankful for that, though.
I'm thankful for it.
Yeah, and you met a lot of good friends there.
Oh yeah, I still
like,
have
to
them.
this day.
But I had people asking me to train them, and I had this one client. He was like, "You're so good at training. You should train.
You are.
You can do your own. You can start your own business." And I said, "But I need benefits." And he's like, "Well, you start getting big enough, you can pay your own benefits." Now, I'm not that big yet, but because of him, I started this. I started Perfected Bodies.
What's his name?
Dan Green.
Yep.
But so I was training him, and I ended up started Perfected Bodies. I wrote it on notebook paper in the back of AT&T, brainstormed, and then crazy enough, I ended up connecting back to the old gym that I left from, that I got demoted from. And they let me back in because that other training company they got in a lawsuit with, go figure.
Yeah.
And so they were gone. I came in with my company, and I made them money.
Yeah.
So, you never burn bridges. I don't look back, and I'm not mad or anything, but they're closed down, and it's like, well, the writing was on the wall.
Yeah, 100%.
But lessons learned, and if it wasn't for them, I may not be where
It's all about how you treat your employees and the environment that you're in, and the culture that you build is everything. And I think that's why I'm so thankful where we are today.
Yeah.
Everybody's there to support
everybody
in that gym. And when they aren't, they're gone.
Yeah.
We get rid of it.
Yeah.
You have to.
But now we are here with a company like the company that tried to get me fired, and now we are succeeding, and we're one of the biggest companies, one of the only ones in Denton that I know of
since 2016
is a personal training company that goes into a gym and runs the department.
What year did I come on board? 2020?
2023.
No, I was working for you before
2022. So that gets that gets me to, yes, 2022. So that gets me to, working together. Like we live together, we work together, and we are together. So what's been your biggest struggle with working together and being together?
How you boss me around all day.
Well, just tell
And
me.
then I come home and you're taking out the trash and then you ask me to put a trash bag in. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. It's just like trying to turn off work David and Lauren and then personal David and Lauren. Like how to find that romance sometimes and making time for each other when we're not talking about work. What's the most difficult aspect about me that is hard to work with?
Oh, that's a good one. You are great at what you do and taking charge. If I give you, or if I notice probably if anybody gives you a project, you're going to do it and you're going to do it good. Mm-hmm. And I think this happens a lot. So this isn't just you, but I think people that have the most talent are the hardest to manage. So, and I'm not saying that I'm perfect, but I think a big part of my struggles with being in a relationship with you and working with you is the ability to coach you. And I'm not saying that I'm right, but it's very tough because it's your way or the highway on things. And
I told you I have control issues.
Yeah, and it's the defensiveness and sometimes I may come off wrong, so I will say that. But it's, anytime I want to teach you anything that I've learned or just give some advice.
Just know I'm watching.
Do what?
Just know I'm watching, and I'm always observing.
Yeah, but it's always defensive, and it's
when
very.
You tell me.
Listen, that's something that's easily worked on. I'd rather you be like that than suck at your job, and that is one thing you don't.
I definitely don't suck at my job, but I definitely have an opinion.
Sure.
And probably a little borderline feminist.
Yeah.
So, taking constructive criticism or direction from not only just a man, but your partner.
Yeah.
That is extremely hard.
Yeah, and I understand that it's not easy.
Yeah, because I know that I'm smart and I know my capability, but just always know that I'm watching and I'm observing.
Yes.
And then a big reason why I have been so successsul in this industry with you is because of you. So I don't always
just because of me.
No, but like I'm always watching and observing, but sometimes like being told, "Hey, this is how I think you should do it," or constantly it's hard because I'm in a relationship with you.
Yes.
So then I sometimes get in my head like, okay, well, I'm not doing things okay here. Like, am I doing things okay in our personal relationship? So it's hard to separate those things.
Yeah, no, and I get that. And, sometimes I don't think about that.
Because how do you sit there? What if you're annoyed with me one day because of work? Because maybe I did have an attitude with you about something that you said that I needed to do. How do you love me?
Yeah.
For me, as Lauren, not as work Lauren, at the end of the day.
Well, what our business coach has always told us, never
but
work
I'm
together.
asking you, how do you love me? How do you separate that?
You have to turn it off, like you said at the beginning of this, and it's not easy. And I know there's so many people out there that struggle with this.
Yeah.
I talk to them.
Yeah.
Business owners that work with their wives, and sometimes I meet some, and I can't remember who it was recently. I met a couple that worked together, and they seemed genuine when they said that they worked well together. And I looked at them, and I'm like,
we do work well together.
We do.
But nobody's perfect.
They also work together.
We complement each other very well. Very well.
They worked together for like 30 years, or 20 years. So they probably started off trying to figure it out and then got it.
Yeah.
And we're already a lot better than we were.
I think we're both very self-aware is how we succeed in that.
100%.
And we give each other space.
You have to think about what you could do better, right? Like it goes back to what I was saying earlier. What could I have done better? Because I don't. If I get upset with you, in the heat of the moment, I may be like, God, Lauren. But I also have to think about how I came off, or how her perception of me during that could be completely different. I'm not thinking about things.
Yeah.
And so I always try to think of that, even when we have our little spats, and I'll go home and I'm like, okay, how could I have did that bad? Okay, that makes sense. She probably was upset because, yeah, that probably didn't come off well. So, like, let's say if you bring fast food into the gym,
No,
it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal to you.
Oh, no. You know what I said when I walked in? I said, nobody look at this. My son wanted a milkshake and a hamburger.
Yeah.
And then you came in today
Yes, but
saying, make sure none of the trainers know that they can't bring that in here.
yes,
And that rubbed me the wrong way.
I know that. And so
Because it was very passive.
I struggled with it at the time because my boss mentality, like if my old boss that I learned from, he would have came in and said, what the hell are you doing? And if he ever hears this,
My
it's gonna be
9-year-old
funny.
son wanted a milkshake
Yes,
and a hamburger.
And listen, I
had some fries. You know what? Because I work hard.
yeah, but listen, that's a perfect example because if you were an average trainer, I would be very upset because you can't have that in a setting. There's some clients may not care, but you don't
No,
want the
me and
trainers
Chris and Isaac were laughing about it today.
But hear me out. The business side, you can't have that in there for two big reasons. The biggest reason is it sets a bad example for the clients.
Well, 100%. But I came in the gym laughing about
But
it.
I'm not telling you about this. I'm just saying what was going through my mind. And then two, the trainers are going to start doing it, and now it's going to become a problem.
Nobody's going to do that. None of them eat that.
But I was trying to think in my head.
Sure.
Okay, I have to say something to her, but now's probably not the best time.
Mm-hmm.
So that was working with somebody I love.
Yeah.
I learned, instead of just popping off, if you saw me go back and look at the cameras, I was pacing because I didn't know how to present it.
Yeah, because you're scared of me. You should be.
Well, because I love you and I don't want
You're
to.
scared of me.
But listen, I know
Gage came up and started rubbing my back when you were talking to me.
But listen, I know that it's not going to ruin anything. So that's where I could have waited to say. But I knew I had to say something just in case, just so you knew my perception. That's it.
Sure.
Whether it's wrong or bad. And but it's funny because that's part of working together and living together.
Yes.
Like, now a business coach will tell us not to do that, but I think doing it, I've seen the people that have done it for 30 plus years.
Yeah.
I think there's magic to be made.
Yeah, and
Like
there's
building-
more magic to be made.
Building an empire together, like you know what I go through, I know what you go through. Instead of you coming home from work, I come home from work and just wondering what the hell your world's like. We're our world together. It's tough.
Yeah, it's
But
really
I
tough.
think there's a lot we can do together.
Yep, yep,
And we have.
yeah. We're going to continue to do it.
We're doing a damn podcast.
Yep.
That's the first episode. I want to have more of these.
Yes.
And we'll pick some good topics. We'll talk about Casey Anthony.
Oh no!
We'll talk
Don't get me
about
started on
past
that.
relationships, the craziest ones. Some current events.
Yes.
More business stuff because we have a lot of good business ideas of business events this
100%.
summer.
Mm-hmm.
The youth athletics.
Yep, yep.
So we'll get to more. So I love you.
Love you.
And I'll see you soon
Bye.
tonight.